Trapped in a loveless marriage for 12 years, she discovered an incredible love with a billionaire. Sarah felt like a ghost in her own home. The laughter of her children danced through the air, but within her heart, a heavy silence loomed. 12 years of marriage to Tom, her high school sweetheart, had drained the color from her soul, leaving behind a murky routine that dulled every day. She washed dishes while dreaming of adventure, yearning for connection beyond the walls of her quaint Maplewood living room. The mundane, endless list of soccer practices and school bake sales weighed on her like a lead blanket. All she wanted was a spark, something to reignite the fire that had long burned out. That fire flickered back to life one fateful evening as Sarah strolled through the town's annual fall festival. The warm scent of cinnamon and apple cider filled the air, and she felt a rush of excitement, something she hadn't felt in years. And then she saw him, Nick. He was a stunning whirlwind of charisma and charm, standing out amongst the warm glow of twinkling lights. A glimpse of ambition in his eyes reminded her of dreams she thought she'd lost forever. Their chance encounters quickly morphed into intentional conversations. Shared smiles turned into a whirlwind of low whispers and knowing glances. Nick's passion was infectious, a stark contrast to the stifling routine she'd grown accustomed to. Sarah found herself captivated by his laughter, something deep within her waking up, like a flower breaking through winter's frost. But behind the glamour of new emotions tugged guilt, like a shadow refusing to let her go. As whispers bubbled around town, Sarah felt eyes on her. Some townsfolk admired her newfound spark. Others, however, looked at her as if she were a sinner, contempt painted across their faces as if she were betraying her family. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the leaves turned golden, Sarah found herself swept into a community project. It became an escape and a dive into unknown waters. The chemistry between them was palpable. Every brush of hands ignited sparks that left her breathless. In those moments, trappings of her perfect mother facade fell away. Yet behind the smiles, her heart wrestled with conflict, loyalty to her children, and the simmering potential of something more. Then came the storm. A confrontation with Tom shattered the facade of their marriage. Words exchanged cut like knives, and resentments poured out unbidden, revealing hidden truths they tucked away for far too long. Sarah faced a crossroads. Torn between a commitment to her family and a yearning for the love that Nick offered, she struggled under the weight of her indecision. As she met Nick's bright eyes one last time, the weight of what she had to lose paralyzed her. Could she dare to choose happiness over duty? Would she have the courage to leap into the unknown? A tempest brewed within her, leaving her breathless, questioning not just the path ahead, but the very meaning of love. The next morning, Sarah awoke to a world that felt unchanged, yet entirely different. The sun streamed through her bedroom window, bathing the room in a soft glow, but instead of warmth, it only felt like a spotlight on her turmoil. She sat up, her heart still racing from the confrontation with Tom. It had been explosive, words flung like arrows designed to wound. She could still feel the remnants of that fight, the hurt expressed on Tom's face, the disappointment etched in her own. Today, their home felt like a battleground. With practiced efficiency, she slipped into the daily routine. Breakfast was a flurry of cereal boxes, scrambled eggs, and hurried goodbyes as her kids prepared for school. But as she moved about, Sarah felt like an actor performing a scripted role. Smiles were offered up as payment for her family's needs, but inside, her heart remained heavy. She kept replaying her moments with Nick in her mind, a montage of laughter, shared ideas, and sweet, fleeting touches. Those memories painted a vivid contrast to the cold discussions she had with Tom. As she dropped the kids off at school, she spotted the white facade of the community center where she had spent hours with Nick. A sense of familiarity washed over her, blurring the lines between her old life and a new, enticing possibility. Should she really be dreaming of moving toward Nick? It was a complicated web. Beyond their chemistry lay her responsibilities, her obligations. Was it cruel to even consider stepping into the light of a new romance while her family still yearned for equilibrium? Later that day, with a hesitant heart, she picked up her phone and scrolled through messages. There was Nick's name shining brightly, standing out against all the mundane notifications. Suddenly, her pulse quickened. She hesitated, fingers hovering above the screen. When she finally pressed send, her heart felt like it would leap out of her chest. "I need to talk," she texted, each word trembling with implications. Nick replied almost immediately. "I'm here. When and where?" The excitement coursed through her like a jolt of caffeine. They agreed to meet at the park later that afternoon. As she prepared herself, every nerve felt electrified, amplifying her hope, but anxiety rode along like a stubborn shadow. Each step toward the park echoed a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. What would she say? Would she confess
the truth of her heart? More than the fear of Tom's reaction, it was the risk of leaving behind everything she had built that plagued her thoughts. When she spotted Nick waiting, the world around her faded. He looked like a beacon, a figure that held her gaze, filled with warmth and possibility. As she approached, his smile made her heart flutter. "Hey," he greeted, eyes sparkling with unspoken affection. "How are you?" "Not great," she admitted cautiously, biting her lip. "Can we talk about us?" He nodded, his expression turning serious. "I was hoping you'd say that. I can't stop thinking about you, Sarah." As the words hung in the air, a miracle crackled between them. But within an instant, doubt cloaked her heart. She wasn't just talking about romance. She was discussing choices that could potentially dismantle her entire life. "Can I really walk away from everything?" she whispered, a question laced with fear and longing. Nick stepped closer, his voice gentle and steady. "You deserve happiness, whatever that looks like." But just as they were about to dive deeper into the heart of their dialogue, Sarah's phone violently in her pocket. Waiting, heavy and demanding, she knew it was Tom. The reality of her choices crashed down around her. She looked into Nick's eyes, searching for answers where doubt loomed. Would she answer the call that could pull her back into her old life, or would she choose to redefine her future? As she hesitated, her heart raced wildly. What awaited her on the other side of that call? Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she stared at her phone, the screen lighting up with Tom's name. The world around her faded further into the background. The park, the trees swaying gently in the breeze, even Nick's earnest face became distant. All her thoughts erupted into chaos. "Maybe I should pick it up," she murmured, more to herself than to Nick. Her finger hovered over the screen. The possibility of a resolution or confrontation hung heavy in the balance. "Do you want to?" Nick asked softly. His tone was steady, grounding her in tumultuous waters. Time stretched infinitely in that moment. She felt torn apart by the weight of her decision. What would it mean to answer? Would she slip back into a role she wasn't sure she wanted anymore? But ignoring Tom's call felt equally monumental, like pushing away the family she had built, an identity she had fought to nurture despite the scars. Thinking about Tom sent a sharp pang to her heart. He was still her husband, a man she once loved, albeit a man she'd grown estranged from over years of unspoken resentments. But confronting that love, now overshadowed by the glimmer of what could be with Nick, felt like walking a tightrope of guilt and fear. "Sarah," Nick's voice brought her back, "it's your choice. I want you to be happy." His words ignited something deep inside her. In his warm gaze, she spotted the flickers of hope, open, unblemished by obligation. It reminded her of the moments they shared, the laughter that felt so fresh yet so far away. It also intensified the guilt weighing down on her. The phone buzzed again, insistent, dragging her attention back like a rubber band snapping. "Answer it if you think it will help," Nick added quietly, but she could sense the hint of disappointment in his voice. With a shuddering breath, she glanced at him, reading his expression for assurance. "I know this isn't just about you and me," she whispered, pain threading through her words. "There are kids to think of, a life." "Life isn't about just getting through it, Sarah," Nick interrupted gently. "It's about really living it, choosing what feeds your soul." In that moment, she found her resolve. She needed clarity. Maybe speaking to Tom could help her find it. With shaking hands, she pressed accept, the sound clicking through the air as the call connected. "Tom," she said, her voice shaky yet steady. "Sarah, where are you?" Tom's voice came through, sounding weary and tense. "I've been trying to reach you. We need to talk about the kids, about us. I can't fix this if you keep avoiding me." Something inside Sarah snapped. Avoidance had become her way of coping, but now it felt dangerously suffocating. "I'm at the park," she said, her voice steady, despite the turmoil within. "And we do need to talk." A silence punctuated the line, stretching thick and daunting. She could almost hear Tom's thoughts racing, the anger simmering below the surface. "Can we meet?" he finally asked, the weariness matching the heaviness in her heart. "Yes," she replied, steeling herself for the confrontation. As she hung up, a deep exhale escaped her lips. "Well?" Nick asked softly, his eyes searching hers. "I'm meeting him," she whispered, a mix of relief and dread coursing through her. "We need to figure things out." Nick nodded slowly, but leaned slightly away, his demeanor shifting. "Okay, but remember what I said." Tears threatened to spill as she wished for a moment to gather herself. All she could think was how much she wanted the simplicity of the moment, the warmth of Nick's encouragement as a shield against the storm brewing ahead. "Whatever happens, just know that I care," he added quietly, stepping back a bit, giving her space. With her heart racing and uncertainty pinned tight in her chest, Sarah realized that stepping into the storm was the only way to prove what she desperately needed: courage and clarity. As she turned toward the exit of the park, ready to face the man she had shared years with, a resounding uncertainty echoed within her. Would she find resolution, or was she about to walk into a battle that would leave more wounds? The weight of the moment pushed her onward, yet she wondered, staring at the path ahead, would I be fighting for my heart or for a broken promise? The coffee shop was crowded, the air thick with the aroma of fresh brews and light chatter. Sarah stepped inside, her heart pounding with each step. It felt surreal, this meeting. She had always imagined what it would be like to face Tom again, but now that she was here, her stomach churned. Her eyes flicked to the corner table where Tom sat, his shoulders hunched, a frown etched deep on his face. She approached tentatively, avoiding his gaze as she slid into the seat across from him. The tension wrapped around them like an unspoken blanket, thick and suffocating. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice low, edged with frustration. It was a tone she remembered all too well. "I didn't have much choice," she replied, staring down at her hands, searching for the words to ease the weight in the room. "We need to talk about the kids and us." "Yes, we do," he said, leaning back slightly, crossing his arms. The gesture felt defensive, a barrier she didn't know how to break down. "You've been avoiding me, Sarah. Do you even care?" She looked up, eyes wide, feeling the sting of his accusation. "That's not fair, Tom. You know I've been trying to figure things out, but you just don't see it." "See what? You're having an affair?" he barked, his voice rising. People at nearby tables looked over, curiosity written on their faces. The words hung in the air, sharp and unforgiving. She flinched, her heart racing, as she grasped at her emotions, fighting to regain control.
Tom, this isn't about what's happening between me and Nick, she said, softly, willing her voice to stay steady. This is about us, our family. I don't want to hurt anyone, I swear. His face darkened, the fury shifting into something almost desperate. Then why are you running away? I'm not running. I need to understand what went wrong between us, she stated, the conviction filling her. I want to fix things, but we have to confront the truth, our truth. He leaned forward, genuine hurt flashing across his features. You think I wanted it to end like this? I tried, Sarah, but you pushed me away. Didn't you ever wonder why? The question lodged deep in her chest. She swallowed hard, searching for the honesty that had become elusive over the years. I don't know, Tom. Maybe I was lost. Maybe we both were. The frustration in his eyes softened momentarily, replaced by a flicker of longing, a reflection of the man she once knew. I miss the way we used to be. I thought we could find our way back. What happened to us? A lump formed in her throat. Could they ever go back? The years of silence echoed in her mind. The distance had carved deep wounds, too painful to ignore. I think we need to face the reality of what we've become before we try to go back. His shoulders slumped, resignation into his expression. So what now? You think it's too late for us? Sarah felt the weight of his words. It felt like a floodgate threatening to open, drenching her in a mix of emotions. I don't know, she whispered, but we can't keep pretending everything is fine. Not for the kids, not for us. Their conversation waned, silence creeping in again. The hum of the coffee shop became a backdrop, the clinking of cups and soft chatter only adding to her unease. She could feel the walls they had built around their hearts slowly beginning to crumble. But was the damage done too deep? Bracing herself, she leaned closer. I want to know if we can be honest with each other, Tom, if we can rebuild, or maybe even say goodbye. As she searched his eyes for his answer, doubt crept in. A new chapter began to unfold before her, one filled with paths she hadn't envisioned just moments ago. But before any resolution could be found, a sudden thought hit her. Would this meeting really lead them to clarity, or just deeper misunderstandings? As she sat there, the question loomed larger than ever. Could they reshape their lives, or had they just stepped into an irretrievable abyss? Sarah felt the weight of the unfinished conversation pressing down on her. The eyes of the coffee shop patrons felt intrusive, but she was more focused on the man before her. Tom's frown deepened, and she could see him grappling with his thoughts, each word unsaid, casting shadows between them. What do you want to say, Sarah? He finally asked, his voice a mix of vulnerability and frustration. If we're going to do this, let's lay everything on the table. She took a deep breath, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. This was the moment she had hoped for, yet it was also terrifying. I want to be honest about my feelings, about the kids and us. I want to find a way to navigate through this, but I need you to meet me halfway. His expression wavered, anger giving way to a flicker of hope. I'm willing to listen, really listen. Okay, she began, carefully measuring her words. I've been feeling isolated. I thought distance would help, but it only made things worse. I missed the connection we had, and it feels like we're living separate lives. He nodded, a flicker of understanding passing between them. I felt that too, but every time I tried to reach out, it was like talking to a wall. Maybe it was, she admitted, but I didn't want to burden you with my struggles. For so long, I thought if I could hold it together, everything would be fine. But it's not fine. We're not fine. Tom leaned in, his voice lowering again. What do you see when you think about us? What do you really want? I want a family. I want us to be happy again, she confessed, the words flowing out as tears threatened to escape. And honestly, I'm scared it's too late. His brow furrowed, and Sarah could see the gears turning in his mind. Let's not make that decision now. We're still here, right? We can't ignore what's broken, but maybe we can fix it. As an unexpected warmth washed over her, she dared to think that maybe, just maybe, they had a fighting chance. The memories of laughter shared, late-night talks, the promises made long ago started to resurface. Was it possible to resurrect that intimacy? What if we tried counseling, she suggested hesitantly. Maybe we need guidance to help us unpack all this, together. Tom considered it, the corners of his mouth twitching into the semblance of a smile. I can do that. It's worth a shot if you're willing to meet me there. A fragile optimism bloomed in her chest. It wasn't fixed, but it felt better than the void that had threatened to swallow them whole. And what about... He hesitated, the mention of Nick hanging in the air between them. I care about him, she said, quickening her pace. But I know I need to sort this out first. You and the kids come first, always. Tom exhaled, his body relaxing as he gazed at her, an opportunity for connection emerging from the wreckage. Then let's figure this out, starting now. Just then, the bell over the door jingled, breaking their moment. Sarah glanced back to see a woman step inside. Familiar features, bright red hair, Emily, Tom's sister, stepped into the crowded cafe. She spotted them instantly, her expression shifting from surprise to concern. Hey, what's going on here? Emily's question permeated the air, effectively shattering their hard-won moment. Both Sarah and Tom straightened, emotions ricocheting as they realized they were no longer alone, thrust back into reality with onlookers and unprepared for the prying curiosity that would surely follow. As uncertainty filled the space, Sarah wondered if she was ready to share their fragile attempt at rebuilding. Was this the right time to let in another voice? And what would Emily's presence mean for their already struggling dynamic? Clenching her fists beneath the table, Sarah took a breath. Maybe yesterday's shadows wouldn't fade so easily. Sarah's heart raced, caught between the warmth of her conversation with Tom and the sudden chill brought by Emily's entrance. Outside the glow of rekindling intimacy, anxiety crept in. She instinctively pressed her fingers against the table, demarcating a barrier between their rebuilding moment and the reality that had just intruded. Hey, Emily, Tom said, his voice betraying a hint of awkwardness. We were talking, she interjected, her eyes darting between the two of them. Or having a crisis? Tom shifted, glancing at Sarah, looking for clarity. Sarah took a quick breath, hoping to fortify herself. We were just, she began, but the words tangled in her throat. Everything. Emily's expression softened, sensing the gravity of the moment. Is everything okay? With a furtive glance at Tom, who nodded slightly, Sarah felt her walls begin to crumble. We're trying to work things out, she admitted. We've been struggling for a while now. The silence that followed weighed heavy in the air. Emily let out a slow breath, her eyes widening with concern. Look, if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. That offer, a kindness, almost made Sarah sigh in relief. It felt so comforting to have someone outside their marriage to lean on, yet it also amplified the tension. We appreciate that, Tom replied, but we need to process this between us first. She could see Emily's mouth form a small O of understanding, yet she remained fixed to the spot, unwilling to leave. It dawned on Sarah that perhaps Emily's presence was more than an intrusion. It was also a lifeline. Can we start over? Sarah asked, finding her voice amidst the chaos. You know I'm grateful for your support, Em, but Tom cut in. Before anything else progresses, we've got some hard truths to face. Emily nodded, becoming visibly anxious. What kind of truths? The question hung heavily, and Tom turned to Sarah as if he was inviting her to take the next step. It's about how we've been, he started. Drifting apart, Sarah completed for him, suddenly feeling emboldened. And how I felt profoundly disconnected. Emily's concern deepened. But what does all this mean for the kids? They need stability. Exactly, Tom said, the edge in his tone reflecting the tension swirling in the cafe. And that's why we're doing this. We want to fix the underlying issues before it's too late. A flicker of fear danced in Sarah's chest. She turned to Emily, swallowing hard. It's not about anyone being at fault. We just need to find our way back to each other. Emily's look softened yet again, surprised at the level of honesty before her. Have you thought about how the kids will take it? They will sense something's off if we don't. Tom's voice rang with a determination Sarah hadn't heard in months. Sarah felt the warm embers of resolve budding in her chest. They'd finally voiced the feelings that had lurked silently for so long. But have you really considered counseling? Emily asked, her tone turning gentle. I get that you want to protect your family, but it's okay to ask for help. How do we even start that conversation? Sarah wondered aloud, tracing the rim of her coffee cup, her mind flashing with memories of family dinners, holiday laughter, and late-night talks that seemed to belong to someone else's life now. Maybe we set boundaries, Tom suggested, his tone becoming hopeful. We can plan what we'll discuss and how we'll involve the kids. The thought brought a small flicker of comfort. Together, they could create a roadmap out of the fog. Okay, Sarah said, emboldened, let's try and build from here. As they exchanged glances, the air thickened with potential. Then Emily chimed in, what if we made it a family thing? You all could share your thoughts too. The proposition hung enticingly in the air, and suddenly Sarah felt hopeful. Family meeting it is, Tom affirmed, a familiar glint of determination lighting his eyes. But just as relief began to wash over her, another thought slipped in. Could they really make it through all this? As they wound down the conversation, Sarah looked at Emily. You'll support us, right? Emily nodded, but Sarah couldn't shake the uncertainty of what lay ahead, or if this fragile understanding was enough to heal their wounds. Beneath the surface, the weight of unresolved emotions still lingered, like shadows ready to overtake them once again. And in that moment, Sarah realized that their path forward wasn't just about finding their way back to each other. It also meant confronting the truths they had buried so deeply. What if the conversations they avoided were the very keys they needed to unlock their future? Sarah sat in the cafe, her coffee growing cold as thoughts twisted through her mind. Tom and Emily's faces swam in and out of focus, each expressing a different layer of concern. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the unspoken truths hang heavily between them. We can't just keep going around in circles, Sarah said quietly, her voice steadying. It's not fair to us or the kids. They deserve a family that feels whole. She felt a rush of adrenaline as she spoke, a fire igniting her resolve. Tom leaned back, clearly contemplative. What if we laid everything out on the table? No more holding back. The intensity in his eyes sharpened her awareness. Here was the man she fell in love with, the man she had almost forgotten amid the chaos. She felt a flicker of hope, a craving to dig deeper into the root of their struggle. Let's not just do it for the kids, Emily chimed in. You need to be okay for yourselves first. Her hands clasped tightly, she looked from Tom to Sarah as though urging them to find the words they were both afraid to say. Okay, Sarah said, her heart pounding. Let's face it all, together. The thought was terrifying and exhilarating. Here they were, an unexpected trio bound by past hurts and present hopes. All right, I'll go first, Tom said, his voice firm yet trembling slightly. I've felt trapped. It's like I'm watching our life on a TV screen, and I can't reach out to change the channel. I miss us. His confession hung in the air, potent and raw. Sarah felt the sting of tears in her eyes. I miss us too, she whispered, her gaze softening. But somewhere along the way, we lost the way back, and I didn't know how to say it. Emily's presence felt like a beam of light in their private darkness. What if you really opened up? You might find each other again in unexpected ways. Sarah, when we first met, I felt like you understood me in a way no one ever had, Tom said, his voice thick with emotion. Somewhere we lost that connection. It scares me. It scares me too, Sarah admitted, swallowing hard against the burgeoning sobs. The flood of honesty felt cleansing, a stark contrast to the silence they'd woven around themselves for so long. What if opening up meant traversing the scars that had formed between them, tapping into buried dreams and aspirations they had once shared, and allowing those whispers to break free? Emily offered a small, encouraging smile, her eyes kind. "You're both being so brave. See what you can do when you actually speak your truth." Tom nodded slowly, battling the myriad emotions crashing inside him. "But how do we keep from spiraling back to where we started? We can't afford to fall apart again." Sarah's heart raced. What if we committed to being honest in small ways every day, just to start? She felt the weight of her proposition settle around them. "Even with the kids?" Tom asked, his voice laced with concern. "Especially with the kids," Sarah said firmly. "They need to see us trying, to understand that it's okay to talk about feelings, even when it feels hard." Emily leaned forward, sensing the depth of the moment. "You both have shown so much courage today. Make a pact to reconnect every week. It could make a world of difference, even just checking in." Each of them silently considered the shift required. The challenge of vulnerability settled in, nudging them toward a path they hadn't dared to tread before. "What if after our family meeting, we take a weekend away?" Tom suggested, surprising even himself with the spontaneity. "Just the two of us? To reignite something?" Sarah's chest tightened. She was both excited and terrified at the thought. "Can we really find a way back to that?" Emily looked at them, her expression encouraging. "Why not? If you're both willing, I see so much possibility." As they sat there, an uneasy mix of hope and fear fluttered about. Would they really embark on this new journey? Could they actually emerge stronger together? In that silent moment of possibility, Sarah felt an urgency blossom within her, a dimming light flickering into a resolute flame. What if the spark they needed was already within them, just waiting to be reignited? As they made plans to confront their issues head-on, Sarah couldn't shake the undercurrent of doubt. Would they truly be ready for what they unearthed? The silence of uncertainty loomed as they prepared to take that leap together. She could feel it knitting them closer, or perhaps unraveling everything they thought they could handle. And just as she contemplated the path ahead, Sarah wondered, how would their kids react to this new chapter unfolding right before them? The days that followed felt surreal, like they were stepping into a brand new script. The conversation at the cafe had sparked something impossible to dismiss. As Sarah sat on the living room floor, surrounded by scattered toys and half-finished homework books, she felt the weight of the past mingling with renewed possibility. "Hey, kiddos," she called out, her voice a lilting melody despite the nerves fluttering in her stomach. "Can you come here for a second?" Her son, Ben, and her daughter, Lily, padded into the room. She could see their faces, wide-eyed and curious, but behind their innocence lay the profound understanding of change that children often grasp. "Hi, Mom," Ben said, plopping down on a toy robot. Lily mirrored him, still clutching her favorite stuffed animal. "We're going to talk as a family," Sarah started, glancing quickly at the clock. She hoped Tom would be home soon. "It's important, okay?" "Is this about the weekend trip?" Lily asked, a hint of excitement in her voice, hopeful in a childlike way that reminded Sarah of simpler times. "Yes, but it's also about us, about how we can be better together," Sarah replied, feeling the rush of adrenaline. Just then, Tom walked in, breathless and slightly disheveled, the momentary chaos of the day spinning off him as he steadied himself at the door. He met her gaze, uncertainty mingling with determination, and he nodded at Sarah. She felt a flicker of reassurance. "Hey, kids, we wanted to talk to you about some changes," Tom began, joining Sarah on the floor. The three of them formed a small circle, creating a safe space that felt like a fortress against the world outside. "Like what changes?" Ben asked, tilting his head. "Changes that will help our family feel more connected," Sarah said, choosing her words carefully. Your dad and I have been trying to figure out how to be better for you and for each other. Lily's brow furrowed slightly. Are you guys okay? I think we might be okay, Tom said, attempting a smile, but it fell a little flat. It's just that sometimes adults forget how to talk about their feelings, but we want to work on it. Sarah watched as her kids absorbed the words, their small expressions shifting, processing the adult complexities that hung over them. What does that mean for us? Ben's voice was small, filled with the innocent weight of a child who couldn't quite understand. It means we're going to try to be honest with each other, Sarah explained, her heart racing. And maybe, just maybe, we'll be happier together. We'll still be a family, and we want you both to be part of it. She noticed Tom's hand twitching toward hers, a small but powerful gesture of unity, and she reached out to grasp it, holding tight. Lily looked at them, then at Ben, her innocent wisdom kicking in. So we get to be happier and have more fun? Yes, Sarah said, buoyed by their determination. We'll spend more time together, have family game nights, and maybe even take that weekend trip. Can we go to the cabin? Ben asked, his blue eyes sparkling. Tom chuckled. Absolutely, that's the plan. In that moment, the room filled with laughter, and for the first time in a long while, Sarah felt a genuine wave of warmth wash over her. The connection was starting to form, threads weaving slowly but surely in a different direction. Right in the middle of their conversation, a sudden thought struck her. The seeds of change were planted, but there was a future to grapple with. What new revelations awaited them as they turned their eyes towards healing? However, another part of her whispered warnings. What if their attempts brought up deeper resentment, festering beneath the surface, harder to confront? As the laughter echoed around her, she felt both hope and hesitation. Could they truly mend the cracks in their foundation? Suddenly, a loud crash in the kitchen startled everyone. Tom bolted to his feet. What was that? Sarah's heart sank. The sounds of chaos they had hoped to soothe now loom again. Bittersweet encouragement echoed within her. If they were going to face the future, they would have to confront whatever shadows lay hidden in their home. What awaited them around the corner? Would they embrace the changes, or would the chaos pull them back into their old patterns? The crash had come from the kitchen, and the startled expressions of her children reflected Sarah's own rising panic. Tom dashed toward the noise, his footsteps echoing down the hallway. Sarah felt a sharp tug of anxiety, wondering if their fragile moment of connection could withstand whatever had just happened. "Stay here," Tom called, his voice lively but tinged with authority. Her heart raced as she watched him disappear through the door. "Mom, what was that?" Ben asked, his little brow furrowed with worry. "I'm not sure, sweetie, but let's just wait a moment, okay?" she replied, forcing a smile to alleviate the tension. Lily hugged her stuffed animal tighter, her wide eyes reflecting a mix of fear and uncertainty. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something significant. Had the plans they had begun to forge already encountered obstacles? Moments felt like hours, but finally Tom reappeared, a sheepish grin on his face. "Just a stack of dishes that decided to jump off the counter," he said, wiping his hands on a dish towel, as if it could erase the tension lingering in the air. Sarah let out a nervous laugh. "That's one way to keep us on our toes." "Yeah, I think we can safely say our kitchen is still holding on to its chaotic charm," he replied, a glint of mischief back in his eyes. "Chaos?" Ben chimed in, eyeing them both. "Are we going to have to deal with that a lot?" Tom knelt down to Ben's eye level. "Not if we keep communicating, remember? We're turning over a new leaf here." His deep voice was reassuring, and Sarah felt a waft of hope flicker back to life. "Right!" Lily chimed in, bouncing a bit on the carpet. "We're going to have more fun now." "Exactly," Sarah echoed, her heart swelling a bit with pride. "With each other, and even when chaos strikes, we'll find ways to laugh and love through it all." With that, she felt a tightening in her chest and a question that loomed larger than before. Could laughter truly overshadow the past? Did it mean the beginning of acceptance and healing, or merely a temporary distraction? Just then, Tom stood up and motioned for them to gather around the coffee table. How about we start working on our family plan together? He picked up a colorful notebook he had tucked under his arm. We can write down things we want to do together, trips, game nights, even what fun means to each of us. Ben and Lily burst into enthusiastic chatter about their favorite games and dreams of future adventures. Sarah watched them, her heart aching with joy, yet tinged with uncertainty. As they started brainstorming, she caught Tom's eye across the table. He gave her a quick nod, a silent agreement that they were truly in this together. But as the kids talked about camping trips and board games, the nagging voice in her head whispered another truth. What if their excitement only masked the deeper issues they had yet to confront? Time dripped by in an easy manner, flowing with their laughter and planning. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that their fragile dreams were floating on a sea of unresolved feelings. The true test would come when the reality of their relationships steadily revealed itself. Would they still hold on to each other when darker storms rolled in? Just as they finalized their first plans, Ben suddenly paused, his face stricken with an unexpected thought. "Mom, what if we all go to the cabin and it rains? What if it's really boring?" Lily echoed his concern. "Yeah, what if we can't have fun?" The question hung in the air, heavy with the weight of uncertainty. Sarah could feel every heartache and hope entwined in that moment. They had so much to look forward to, yet they still stood at a precipice, questioning everything. "Then we'll build a fort," Tom said, breaking the silence. "A fort where we can tell stories, play games, and just be ourselves." Everyone erupted in laughter again, but the deeper question remained unanswered. Could they create a safe shelter for their family to weather the storms of their past? As their playful chatter resumed, Sarah caught a glimpse of Tom's pensive expression. The room buzzed with hope, but shadows still loomed. What would they find out about themselves and each other when the laughter faded and reality set in? She took a deep breath, ready to dive into the unknown. But what transformation awaited them next? The weeks rolled by like clouds racing across the sky, each day bringing both challenges and unexpected moments of joy. Sarah felt the air shift in their home. Subtle changes blossomed as the family embraced their new path. Dinner time transformed from a mundane routine into an event filled with laughter. They shared stories, delving deep into their own journeys. Ben animatedly recited his latest adventures in a book series, while Lily performed impromptu plays that sent them into fits of giggles. Tom was present, fully engaged, his eyes dancing with affection as he looked at his kids and at Sarah. But beneath the surface, a layer of unease simmered. Despite their newfound openness, Sarah could feel old habits creeping in. The conversations with Tom mattered, but how fully could they address the issues they had avoided for so long? Could they truly rebuild their foundation when shadows of resentment lingered? On a rainy Saturday, the family found themselves nestled in their makeshift blanket fort, cozy and secure. Ben led them through a lively narrative about space explorers, while laughter echoed off the walls. In that bubble of joy, Sarah could almost convince herself everything was back on track. But then it happened. A light-hearted joke from Tom threaded through the laughter, and without warning, the light banter revealed jarring undertones of sarcasm. It caught Sarah off guard, piercing through her momentary peace. There it was again, the familiar crack of discontent. "Can't we just get through one evening without bickering?" she snapped, the shadows of the past spilling out unchecked. Silence enveloped them, the air heavy with tension. Tom's eyes widened, confusion etched across his face. "I was just trying to lighten the mood. You were undermining me in front of the kids," Sarah interrupted, her voice trembling with pent-up frustration. Ben and Lily exchanged worried glances, sensing the shift in their parents' mood. "Mommy, please don't be mad," Lily whispered, her small voice puncturing the thick silence. "I'm not mad at you, Pumpkin." Sarah softened, her heart aching at the innocent fear in her daughter's eyes. I need us to be real. No more pretending everything's great." Tom's gaze shifted. "You're right. It's like we're walking on eggshells, and I hate that. How do we break this cycle? Finally, Sarah felt the brave spark of honesty flare. It was time to confront the unsaid, to peel back those layers of hurt. We need to dig deeper. This can't just be about laughs and fort building. We need to remember how we got here. Then let's do something about it, Tom urged, his voice steadying with resolve. If we're serious about fixing this, let's go to counseling together, as a family. The suggestion echoed in their cozy fort like a drumbeat, a steady rhythm of reality. Sarah felt a twinge of relief mixed with fear. The thought of unearthing buried emotions felt both daunting and necessary. We might cry and scream, but we might also start to understand each other again, Tom continued. If we want to do this together, we have to invite the hard truths in. Sarah nodded slowly, each heartbeat sinking. To the gleeful murmurs of her children, they were their own universe, a small sanctuary sheltering them from the storms outside. Okay, let's try it. Yay! Lily exclaimed, and Ben mirrored her enthusiasm. As the laughter began to return to the air, Sarah looked at Tom and felt a wave of gratitude wash over her, a recognition that they were finally fighting for something rather than against it. Weeks of therapy began, and they uncovered more than they expected. Each session felt like chiseling away at a rock, revealing the delicate sculptures trapped inside. Conversations shifted from surface-level pleasantries to raw honesty, spurring tears, frustration, but also laughter. The sessions created a ripple effect at home. Throughout the week, they began fostering touchstones for check-ins, moments when they could be vulnerable daily, truly ask, "How are you today?" and mean it. One afternoon, as they settled onto the living room couch, hands held tight, Sarah noticed her family's spirit beginning to envelop her, the canvas of their life slowly being painted anew. There was laughter settling like sunlight in the cracks they both had feared would remain forever broken. But then came an evening, as they nestled into bed, that Tom turned to her. His eyes held an intensity that sent a thrill through her heart. We tackled so much together, but how do we keep from falling back into old patterns? That question sliced through her layered anxieties. By being honest, as hard as it may be, we need to build space for each other. He nodded, fingers lacing through hers, grounding them both. I love you, and I know we've still got so far to go, but I want to prove that to each other, not just say it. Me too, she whispered, tears pooling in her eyes. The power of shared vulnerability began to feel like a rebirth. In each shared moment, fear began to fade into the background, replaced by a vibrant glow of possibility. Trust took root, a tapestry woven from threads of both past hurts and future hopes. As they embraced, Sarah exhaled deeply, feeling like she was finally anchored. The struggle had forged them together, reminding her that no journey is perfect, but as long as they faced it hand in hand, they could withstand anything life threw their way. Their road ahead would be a tapestry of growth, an intricate design made from love, respect, and the courage to confront the shadows that once haunted them. The future loomed, shimmering with possibility, and for Sarah, it felt brighter than ever. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your thoughts matter so much. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. The moment for true fans to show your support is now. Don't wait, not even one more second to share.